I am your host, Aldreama Harper, business organizing strategist to solopreneurs, freelancers, and service providers. And so I'm super excited about this episode. We're going to be continuing to talk about our strategies for launching your podcast. And I'm super, super excited. Now, before we continue in terms of our tips from the worksheet, I wanted to just share this really quickly here because it was something I didn't know when I first started out in my podcasting endeavors. And that was the different types of genres of podcasts. I knew that there were, you know, when I listened to podcasts, I I typically will listen to podcasts of one type. I love educational podcasts, things like that, and informative podcasts. But I didn't realize how widespread or how the different genres of podcasts are available for you to listen, not only listen to, but when you enter into this podcasting world, you want to make sure that you describe your podcast effectively, right? So here are just a few of the genres. It's a longer list, but there are a few of the genres. Of course, we know that there are interview, conversational type podcasts, so that's a genre. Educational slash informative podcasts, that's a genre. News, current affairs podcast, that's a genre. Comedy, humor, storytelling, business slash entrepreneurship, health and wellness, personal finance. There are a plethora of genres, technology, pop culture, sports. So you want to make sure that when you are beginning your journey as far as your podcast, that you have an idea in terms of what genre you want to fit into or what genre you want um, to endeavor into, so that when you describe your podcast, you know what to say, right? And so, like for me, for example, my podcasts are pretty much business entrepreneurship type podcasts, and I really do love being in the genre of education and informative podcasts. So, my podcast fits really in those two genres combined. So, hopefully, that makes sense. Okay. So, okay, so let's continue with a couple of tips today that's going to help you in your podcasting endeavors. So, recording tips, that's on your cheat sheet, right? When you are recording, you want to speak clearly and maintain consistent audio levels throughout your episode. Sometimes we tend to go too high, too low, and a lot of times the listeners has will be forced to turn it up, turn it down, change the volume and what have you. So you want the listener to have a really, really good experience with you when you are recording your podcast. Now, we know that depending on the genre, which we just talked about, like if you're doing interview type genres, then sometimes you can't control it, and it can be taken care of more than likely in the editing process. But what you want to do is really begin to practice good microphone techniques, right? So like distance yourself to achieve optimal sound quality. And the thing about that is just to consider using podcasting scripts or bullet points so that you can stay on point during your recording, particularly if you're doing a solo type of recording. And even if you have a guest on your podcast, you want to really guide them in terms of the interview and make sure that you know that you don't go on this rabbit trail. And so just so that you can have control of it. So those are just a few of the recording tips. Speak clearly, maintain consistent audio levels throughout the episode, practice good microphone techniques, and consider using scripts and bullets, like I said. And I've said this probably in the previous podcast, to make sure that you do that so you stay on point. So, in the next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about editing, and we'll talk about host podcast hosting platforms. So that's all we have for today. I hope you have enjoyed it and gotten something that you can use. Hopefully, you are enjoying this checklist along with the subsequent audio recording to just kind of help uh, land the plane, if you will. All right. So until next time, have an amazingly